elongated one, but there we go.
That might be the first time that since we've started doing this format that I actually was able to get to it on time the first time. Every other time I hit forehead or stop gap or some shit. But anyways, welcome to Politics as Usual, episode 25. We've been promoting this one all week. We kind of stumbled onto this accidentally last week, talking about whether or not B was hip hop's last bona fide classic, which will have to be a whole other episode. But we started talking about whether or not 2008 was hip hop's last stand, and decided to just do a whole episode on it. So no, we won't be talking about all August Alsina and his entanglement with Jada Pinkett on this episode. So, I told Ronnie as soon as we got on that I kind of wish we wasn't, because I would love to just delve into that for 5 minutes. But this is going to be an action-packed episode as is. Excuse me, my freaking eyes are watering for whatever reason. It's going to be an action-packed episode as is. So we're here to talk about whether or not 2008 was hip-hop's last stand. Ronnie is here, Fee is here, and with us is special guest, kind of halfway member of the crew, Joe Code of the Artist Guys, formerly known as Joe Hope. Not the Artist Guys, the DIY artist. That's his old.
See, I'm not even gonna get mad about that, because I've changed it so much in the last 3 years that I'm just like, I don't even know what the hell I'm calling myself anymore.
Formerly known as Joe Hova. He is here with us. Make sure you follow him. He's always giving out free game on the regular. What was last week's? The Google SEO stuff?
Yeah, so the newsletter, I was gonna do like just one part of Google Analytics and like how to like actually throw it into your website and then all the stuff that goes into it. But when I was writing it, I got to like 1,500 words just for that, and the newsletter is broken into like a piece of that and then highlighting like an indie artist. And I was like, this is gonna be too long, so I'm breaking it into 4 parts. So the next section is like the dashboard and like what these stats actually mean and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, man, free game. So make sure you follow him at Joe Code the second, 2 eyes. He does the Roman numeral thing like I do.
Let me hype up Joe, man, because Joe and Joe is a very modest guy, but Joe helped us out so much with the blog. He taught us a lot. We didn't know we were still novices to this blog and stuff, man. And Joe helped us out, so I can attest to Joe's aptitude, man. I'm not just saying this because he's here. Like, really, like, subscribe. You'll pick up so much game from Joe.
Free game.
I appreciate that, y'all, and I appreciate you guys even more because you guys both are my first Patreon people. So that was like really, really dope. Like, to log in one day and see that you guys were like supporting that. Because I mean, like, I'm just building everything like from the bottom again. So I'm just like, yeah, I'll just like make this $3 tier. If you guys want to support, you support. That's cool, whatever.
Yeah,
so
man,
I appreciate that.
Of course, man. So yeah, I guess we'll just dive right into this. Let's go with the obvious part of the question. Well, how y'all want to do this? Do we want to answer the question outright, or do we want to start talking about like why this premise is even valid?
See, let's start with the thesis first, and then let's break it down and talk about whether or not it's right. Because we stumbled into this conversation by just simply going through all the albums released in 2008, and then we also talked about like, that was also the birth of the mixtape era. So to talk about this premise, we need to go a year before that to 2007's hottest MC in the game list. And who was number one on the list? AJ.
Who was it? Wayne.
It was Wayne. So
I just guessed that because I assume he's number one on every one of them.
Hottest MC in the game list 2007, 2008. He drops Carter 3, and then 2009. And this is the important part. I feel like he passes off the torch to the next guy, who is Drake. So I feel like 2008 being sandwiched in the middle, like a lot of things happened in that year, and I truly believe that's hip hop's last stand.
I agree, but for different reasons. But I agree.
See, I don't know because I was doing some research when you guys asked me to come on this show, and I was like, all right, well, what came out in 2009? I looked through and I was like, not much memorable, and the same for like 2010 and 11. But then I got to 2015, and 2015, I don't remember what mixtapes dropped outside of like Future. But To Pimp a Butterfly was that year, and then Dirty Sprite 2, and then What a Time to Be Alive, and I think Lupe did Tetsuo and Youth that year. And they were just so like that is the last like big year of hip hop releases that I remember is 2015.
See, I don't necessarily think it was the last stand. I think it changed. I think 2008 changed the way the direction that mainstream rap was going because of the releases that happened. I too looked at all the releases. Like 2009 was a pretty decent year for some people, and then I think 2009 was bigger in mixtapes than it was in mainstream. But you still had a lot of a good, like Joe Budden dropped in 2009, UGK for Life, The Last Kiss, Asher Roth, Deeper Than Rap, Relapse, Loso's Way, Blueprint 3, Only Built for Cuban Links 2. Like you had a lot of good projects that still dropped in 2009, but I think the trend of where it went, I actually think 2015 is hip hop's last stand because I looked at the Billboard charts and the highest singles, and Fetty Wap. It was Fetty Wap, Rich Homie Quan. Let me pull up the list. Fetty Wap was on there 2 times on 2015 for the highest rated singles. He had 2 songs. Hit the Quan was one of the top singles. Flow Rider, T Wayne, like I Love Mackinnon. So I don't think I think a lot of good projects that came out from 2008 until 2015, and I think we still get good projects now. You just kind of have to pick and search for what you want to see out of the mainstream.
Okay, so I think y'all are making good points. Here's why I think the premise is accurate. Because everything that happened, like when you get to 2015, particularly when you get to now, came from the direction of the top 2 artists that year. We're living with the children that were spawned from those right now. And if one of those artists, I think, so we're talking about 808s and Carter 3. I think Drake was inevitable. Like if it wasn't going to be Drake, it was going to be someone else. He was inevitable. It's like Thanos. Hip hop was going there. You saw Trey Songz doing it. You saw Chris Brown doing it. Hip hop was going to have a Drake at some point. Maybe not with all the histrionics that come along with the Drake, but hip hop was going to have a Drake at some point. Where I think hip hop's last stand comes from is Lil Wayne and his decision to stop rapping at a high level. It didn't happen in 2008, but that was when he dropped his next album after the Carter 2. Because when and Fee can tell you this. I said when I listened to, I think it was the Drought 2 in 2006, I was like, oh, Wayne's starting to fall off. He ain't rapping the way he used to. He's getting lazy with it. He's Randy Mossing it. He's not running it out on every single play, only when he knows he's going to get the ball or when he has to. And that to me came, and I know the leaks happened with the Carter 3, but the album that was put out and the hype that album got and the fact that it went platinum, all that did was reinforce Wayne's laziness. And that to me is why I think it's hip hop's last stand, because if Wayne chose to go the complete opposite direction, you have a completely different sound with all the new artists that are out right now.
So you think they sound more like technical and stuff if Wayne actually goes and doesn't Randy Moss?
I think it's a double whammy. Ron started off because I was going to bring this in while I was bringing up this point. The hottest MCs in the game list changed everything because it went from who's the best rapper to who's the hottest. So they started judging your output by hotness instead of like, were you actually good or not? And so, and you can take that back to 50 magnifying sales the way he did, when he was doing his thing, bullying all the New York rappers. You could take it back to that. But MTV's decision to say, hey, we are going to go ahead and talk about the hottest stuff. We're not talking about who's good. We don't care about that. All we care about is who's hot right now. That to me reinforced whatever bad habits that Wayne had, and his own output did it too. He couldn't rap like that constantly because he was on everything from, what was that period, from like 2007 to whenever he went to jail, when he was just on every fucking thing.
2010 he went to jail.
Yeah, so he had a period of 2.5 years where he was just on everything. So his own output did it, but I feel like this list combined with Lil Wayne's decision to embrace being hot rather than actually being good, and then people rewarding him for that fact. Like I talk about this all the time. People love No Ceilings, but No Ceilings is not a good Wayne mixtape to me. if you've heard the squad mixtapes, the prefixes, the suffixes, the shit where Wayne was rapping, that's an average ass mixtape.
And this is something that I now that you bring that up, I was starting my college radio career when Wayne was going on this run, and I was like I started hanging out with like more of the radio station people like my sophomore year, and we used to have these conversations about like, oh, Wayne's the best in the game, and this was 2006, 2007, and I would constantly tell them that he is not. He does not sound good. Like what is this? Like what is he actually saying? Like what is he? And I would always get that, no, he's the hottest in the game. And
right.
I never saw it. Like Wayne is a good rapper, but he was transitioning into something that was not good.
Wayne, go ahead, Fee.
I think the problem with Wayne is the people came too late to him when he was good. I think people missed the boat on his peak of lyricism, which was probably 2003, 2004, maybe 2005 at a peak, like around the Carter 2. Because like Dedication 2 is a great mixtape. The Carter 2, pretty decent album. Carter 1 to me is flawless. That's my favorite Wayne project. But even from 500 Degrees, like from Lights Out to 500 Degrees, and then the squad mixtapes are in between, you can see him transitioning from a Louisiana down south bounce rapper to a complete MC, and he had better content in those times. And then once you come probably to the Drought 3, Dedication 3, Carter 3, once you get to that era, and then the mixtape, his album Leaking 2 had a lot to do with that, because I think the Carter 3 mixtape would have served as a better album than the actual Carter 3 that we got. But I think once you get to that Carter 3, and like AJ says, you see like Lollipop, terrible song. But once you see the success of a Lollipop and you do 1 million in the first week, why would you go back to like rapping? Because he's been chasing that success the whole time, and he stayed at Cash Money to prove he's loyal, to prove that he's the best hot boy. So while he was rapping his ass off, people weren't gravitating to him like they should. So once he made that switch, Carter 2 is not Wayne's best album, bro.
That is an ongoing debate in their group chat. I can just let y'all know that. That's why that's being put in there. But like, no, I completely agree. Like when you Wayne's peak talent wise is as high as anybody's. Like just if you want to talk about like cats who've put a verse down on the Renegade beat, JM, some other dudes, Wayne might have the best verse of any of them, and that's on Squad 4. Like, just go listen to that. Like, he's out. His peak is high. The problem is his peak was high when no one was paying attention, and then by the time he caught up to him, he was trash. Like, he wasn't that good no more. So, like, it's hard to compare him to like a sports great because he has this longevity, but it's so much trash in there, surrounded by this tiny peak. So, like this relatively short peak that he had.
So several points to make here. I feel like Wayne is indicative of like the future of hip hop, like 2008 forward, because after Wayne, how many rappers do we know that put out their best content on mixtapes, but by the time they got to albums, they had nothing else to talk about? Also, like you said, I think this is, I mean, of course it always happened, but I think this is the time where people would shift from, okay, this dude can really rap, to like, okay, I go to the club and I don't hear this guy's music, so he can't really rap. I feel like because you couldn't escape Lollipop, man. Lollipop was everywhere. And the moment I heard that single, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a problem, but in a bad way, not a good way. So it just changed the way the consumer took
it. Had a metal cover.
Right.
It had a metal rock
cover. If you have a metal cover or a white girl acoustic guitar cover,
like,
it's a rap for you.
But
you become ubiquitous in a bad way.
you can look at all the singles off of Carter 3, and that album's changed the trajectory of hip hop. Mrs. Officer, Got Money, Lollipop and Got Money are laden with auto-tune, and Wayne is using that as the winning formula. T-Pain was as big as ever too during that time. Like, so them two even Kanye, like we can get on to him. Like I was listening to a little bit of Graduation because that was 07, and I'm like, man, it didn't just start with 808s and Heartbreaks. He started flirting with it on Graduation because you have Flashing Lights, and people say Graduation is Kanye's best album, and he started flirting with the auto tune too.
Let's hold on to that. Why do people say Graduation is Kanye's best album? Because it's the most palatable.
I don't know, because
it's the most
palatable. It's the most commercial. Exactly. So that too,
it's away from the soul samples,
right.
The conscious content, some of the deeper stuff that Rhymefest and Consequence were feeding him, and that's when he starts like hanging out with T-Pain and Push and those guys, and he's able to get more palatable shit.
And that's also where he starts trying to make like the stadium anthems, because because that's when Blueprint 3 dropped a couple years later, and then Jay just basically had an album full of like, well, I want to perform these in stadiums, and that was it.
Yep. Yeah, and the reason why I'm giving Kanye like a pass in this is like, yes, it did spawn So Far Gone. Like So Far Gone is 808s and Heartbreak like perfected. Like it's the next step from that. But I feel like Drake was inevitable. There were Trey Songz and Chris Brown were flirting with the rapping singing thing. They were just doing it on mixtapes. Drake kind of came out and was like, all right, let me break through this conscious mode, take the shit I stole from Fonte and add it with the shit I stole from Kanye, and then boom, that's how you get it. Like, so I give that a pass because I feel like that was inevitable. Like there are certain things that's just going to happen. Like, Drunken Hot Girls was graduation had a couple mid songs on it, but I feel like there were certain things that was inevitable. Like Drake was inevitable. Gym Class Heroes, even though they weren't as successful, was inevitable. There's always going to be this thing that happens that's away from the norm. And sometimes it catches, sometimes it doesn't, but there's always someone that's going to try. That's why I don't really look at 808s as more of an anomaly. And to me, Wayne is the genesis of this, because singing rappers were always going to happen. That the merging of hip hop and R&B had been too much at that point. That was always going to happen. What Wayne did, being the guy and then going pop, that had always been frowned upon by the top rapper. Like Jay-Z talks about it. He constantly talks about, y'all only listen to radio. Do you just listen to music, or do you just skim through it? That's not really my music. Like they always eschewed like, yeah, I make pop records, but I still do real hip hop. Wayne was like, fuck it, I'm embracing the pop thing. And I feel like that Hottest list started that.
And it's wild because his most successful album is the one. All right, and once again, not he did have leaks, so let's be fair with that. But his most successful album is the one that he totally no pun here, phone home. Like it is amazing that that's his most successful album, the one he tried the least on, and therefore, oh, go ahead, Joe, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say. So I started when Carter 3 came out. I started working at the commercial top 40 station, like the cluster of stations that they had in my hometown. And we were playing those Wayne songs on a top 40 radio station. We played Lollipop, but we were playing Got Money. I mean, a Millie was probably a little too hard for a white 80% town, but we were playing those songs. And that's, to your point, like he wanted that pop stuff. Like he wanted to go up those pop charts, and because that's where the money's at. The money is when you become a pop star. And so he's just like, all right, well, hey, nobody's in this lane as a rapper right now. Let me go do this.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, he rapping on like Dave Guetta songs, and
what's that fucking song he has with Jay Sean?
Oh, down. We played that. We played that for so long. Let me tell you, get it out of my head.
I never listened to that record until when I was like getting into the rock music scene in Birmingham. There was this cover band called Dirty Pop. They did top 40 stuff. They never did stuff with rap verses because they didn't know any rappers. Well, because my drummer was cool with their guitar player, and I'm actually friends with their guitar player, with the old guitar player now. Because me and him were friends, he was like, hey man, can you learn this Wayne verse and come rap it for us like when we play? I was like, sure, I guess. And I was like, oh my God, this is so ass. Like, For me, it was like, fuck it, I'll get up on stage, I'll meet some people, whatever. It was a cool thing. But like, yeah, that's how pop he was leaning to, where like 5 years later, white cover pop bands in Alabama were playing that shit. It was one of the biggest ovation songs of the night.
By the way, do we have video footage of that, AJ?
No, we do not. Thank you.
Okay. So please, somebody find that, please.
No, there is none. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Because I've only done that with them like 4 or 5 times, and they were thankfully no.
Struggle bars
with them, like when they came to Birmingham, that was like, I mean, they lived in Birmingham, but they would play Birmingham to test songs out, and then they would go play like at resorts for 4 or 5 nights in a row and make bank doing that. So they would just play Birmingham to kind of like make sure their sound was good, make sure everything was tight, try shit out, play around, and then they go hit a resort in Louisiana or Florida and make like 5-10K.
I mean, you could have been rapping Wiz versus To See You Again, man. Like
funny story actually, and I think I could. So actually, one night we were at Zydeco and their drummer was mixing, and so all of them were hanging out except the singer. And the bass player approaches me and is like, "Dude, you should join Dirty Pop." And I was like, "Huh?" He was like, "Yeah, man, join Dirty Pop." And so he looks at the guitar player, looks at the drummer, and they're like, "Yeah, man, we totally love to bring you on." Singer said no. And since the drummer was dating and is now married to the singer, that whole thing just
wow.
But yeah. So they actually wanted me in, and I was like I asked them, I was like, "How much are y'all pulling in a year?" And that was more than I was making at the time. I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'll totally quit my job and perform it at sorority parties on weekends with you guys."
but the singer is like, "Nah, nobody outshining me." Nah.
It was because I couldn't play an instrument at the time.
Okay.
And she was like, we can't. I feel the point. It's like we would have to change up our sound too much. She ain't want to split the money 5 ways again, and I understand that.
I mean, yeah.
4-way split to a 5-way split is you splitting 10K 4 ways is 2,500. You splitting 10K 5 ways is 2,000. That adds up over time. I totally understand.
The game is the game.
The game is the game. Great Avon Barksdale. The game is the motherfucking game. It always has been the game. It always will be the game.
Will be the game.
But what I was getting ready to lean into with that is you look at those pop songs that he was doing, and you listen to these new niggas that's out now, and those are all Wayne's at this point grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Because now a hip hop generation, where it used to last like 5 to 7 years, now lasts like 3 to 5 years. But you look at all these little niggas that's out, they all grandchildren of Wayne. They all spun off of some child of Wayne. Future, Thug. All these little niggas are children of all the little colored, the rainbow hair Luls. Those are all Wayne's descendants.
Like, dude, just imagine how bad we would be killing Drake right now if you hop in the time machine and take away 2007, 2008 Lil Wayne, and there's no Carter 3 to pass it off to Drake doing the same shit that he did. How bad will we be killing Tootsie Slide right now?
See, I don't know, because without Lil Wayne, you don't get this Drake, because Drake was
that's what I'm saying. They're tied to each other.
So. But see, I still think Kanye plays a role. I think 808 set the palette for us to like So Far Gone.
Well, then really, honestly, I think we need to pass the blame to somebody else. It needs to go to T-Pain, because he's the proponent of all this. Like, he is the one who he can rap and he can sing without auto-tune, but he's the one who's singing with auto-tune. And then I remember Kanye has verses about T-Pain saying only him and Lil Wayne can use the auto-tune.
So T-Pain is the catalyst for sure, because if we don't get rapper turned singer, we don't get Wayne using auto-tune and stuff like that. But the auto-tune has to be popularized by somebody else who's popular at the time.
That's what I was gonna say, because he's the catalyst, but he also got shut down after death of auto-tune. Everyone else, like Wayne and Drake, were still. I mean, Drake used more Melodyne than anything, but Wayne and Kanye were still using it, no issues. It was T-Pain that got fucked up by Jay saying it. So he was big enough to get it to them, but I don't think Drake spins out of T-Pain. It took Kanye spinning out of T-Pain to give us Drake, because I feel like 808s is what gives us Drake. Like that's what makes that whole thing. And So Far Gone comes out and we don't have 808s. Everyone's looking at that like, nigga, what the fuck is this? My opinion. Like I feel like we keep getting more comeback seasons and room for improvements. Like
and I will say this because like when I first heard 808s, I remember I got the single version of Love Lockdown and I was playing it on the air one night and I heard those vocals and I was like, is this finished? Are these vocals finished?
Exactly. Like, I was like, what the hell is this?
And so like I apologize to people on the air. I was like, hey, look, I'm gonna get a better version of this. But it's like you guys are absolutely right. Like if we don't have that 808s right there, because like I didn't like 808s forever. Like that whole first year I didn't listen to it. Like I listened to it and I was like, I don't like this at all. This is awful. And then I came back to it and I was like, okay, Kanye has something here. And then I heard So Far Gone later in the summer and I was like, okay, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm. To make a comparison I've made several times before, if you're not into this genre of music, you won't get it. What Drake did with So Far Gone from 808s is what Linkin Park did from Meteor.
I knew you were about to say that.
It's the same thing. It's we gonna take this thing that we did. The only difference is a different artist. Like, but again, we said this on the last one. Drake and 40 are spun out of Kanye, Dr. Dre, Diddy, those who take other people's work, add some spice to it, and make it their own. That's what they do. So all Drake did was do that to Kanye. And it's funny, they've had this little beef forever that led into he running around like he Pac tweet. Which is it's one of the 5 greatest tweets of all time.
It's one of the best tweets of all time.
Along with this nigga eating beans and she in Rachel chat room showing feet. Like he run around like he Pac is one of the greatest tweets of all time. But they've had this, like, if you talk about badly mixed songs, Find My Love is up there.
Oh, man, I hate that song.
Kanye did Drake so wrong with Find Your Love. Like, that should not have came out.
Let's talk about that, because he was constantly trying to undercut him. He sabotaged the Ever Had video. And then he gave him that whack-ass, I didn't mind Find Your Love, but now I would never listen to it again in this day and age. But it's like that beat was mixed awfully. And
the vocals,
right, I'm gonna take it.
The drums sound like some shit you get off a GarageBand unmixed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit should not have gone out there like that. It's like, dog, I can mix songs better than that. Man, Barry Bonds was trash, Ryan. That shit was trash.
Like this is the thing about Barry Bonds. Kanye verse is good. Lil Wayne's verse is so bad that it makes the song you can't listen to it. Like
it's just like Hello Brooklyn.
The worst feature. Like who approved this? This is terrible. Like that shit is ass.
It's the same thing as Hello Brooklyn. He did that.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, let me speak my truth real quick, man, because everybody says this. And I feel like I'm the only one standing firm on this. I actually like drunk and hot girls. Yes, I do. And I don't know why, but I actually like it, especially the end with Mos Def's part.
In the context of the album, it's not a bad song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I will skip over that shit. Like it ain't.
I'm about to block Ryan, man.
like how are you going up for Barry Bonds of all things? That song is ass. It's a disgrace to Barry Bonds. This is another hit, Barry Bonds.
Come on.
No.
This is what you've been waiting for. I didn't know.
No, this is
nobody was waiting for this.
Nobody.
Hey, it's just like that Black Wonder Years reboot we're getting. Nobody asked for this.
Nobody.
You took a mixture of things.
1960s in Alabama. Come on.
Right. My grandma was alive in 1960s Alabama. Those was not one of the years. No.
We don't want to listen to that, man. Get that bullshit the fuck out of here. No. Like, nah, man, that shit was ass.
Another point about 2008, though, I will say that Drake's like the way Drake rolls out his albums, like the Carter 3, the success of the Carter 3 is why he rolls his albums out. Like Drake always has a rapping single and then a Hotline Bling or Find Your Love or like now that we're talking about that Find Your Love, he have Headlines and Find Your Love off that album.
Headlines was off Take Care.
They're similar though. They're very similar.
And that's the
But
thing.
even though
Like
take care,
he has a formula for like at least for those first few albums, because like even if you look at like the sequencing of fucking Thank Me Later, it's damn near the exact same as So Far Gone, down to the insert woman's name interlude. Like he did all of that same shit. So yeah, that's a very good point. Like he does roll well, at least the first few albums, he rolled them out the exact same way. Gave something for the hip hop heads, and then gave an R&B joint for the chicks.
And see, to further that point, to me, like if we want to set Drake and Lil Wayne's career parallel, to me, Drake's Carter 3 moment was what's the name of that fucking album with his head in the clouds?
Oh, Nothing Was the Same.
Nothing Was the Same. That's his Carter 3 moment. And by the way, Nothing Was the Same is a cool album, but when I heard the album, I was like, yeah, Drake's never rapping again.
Oh yeah, because that was when he got with who? Party Next Door?
Yeah, and like because that album is like all about the beats, and he's just like he's just doing that the whole album, like just dropping ad libs, and people's like, man, this album's so fire. It's like, is it really fire? Or do you just like the way it sounds? Because he's not saying anything.
To quote that dude on Kawhi, who was talking at the end, who was talking on the Gambino shit. Do you really like that shit, or do you like the way they handed it to you? Dave Chappelle said it best. Coke and Pepsi, the same shit. Whoever tastes better just is the one that's paying me more at the time.
Right, right.
Like that's music in a nutshell today. Do you really like that shit, or do you like the way that shit was handed to you? And majority of the time, it is the latter. But yeah, I don't get when people say Nothing Was the Same as Drake's best project, because I'm like, that's the one I probably revisit of his. Like even Thank Me Later, which is not that great, has the Cookin' Soul remix to it, which makes that album like 10 times better.
Yeah.
Like I revisit songs.
Oh man, the Cookin' Soul remix was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I revisit songs on there, but man, I don't ever listen to that album just straight through. Like there's like 5 or 6 joints on there that I listen to.
Well, the other problem too with Drake's music is that we've all aged out of it, because Drake's been stuck in the same like lane and the same topics and stuff. He hasn't matured in like 5-6 years, whereas we've all had things like, you know, I got married, and you know, we all have like life changes happening and stuff. And it's just like, it's hard to relate to somebody's music. Even when you go back and listen to it, you're like,
it's the same thing. It's the same critique people have about Cole and Crit. Like with Cole's like, nigga, when you gonna stop rapping about your student loans? How many times you gonna tell us you lost your virginity? And with Crit, it's like, nigga, how many more songs you gonna make about your speakers?
See,
like,
that's unfair, man. Because I think Crit's dope, man. I think he's matured a lot. Like especially in the production end.
I want to like Crit so bad, but every time I turn on a project of his and I hear the word speakers or subs, I have to cut it off.
I mean, we still listen to Stove God talk about that coke, though.
That's different. Like coke rap is an art. Speaker rap is not an art. You can't give me I cleanse the brick of its sin.
Like Currency is one of my favorite rappers, and he quote talk the same shit. I say it different. That's the difference. Like
Currency does that fire. Like that's fire. Like
Big Crit does it. Big Crit does it good too.
Not with speakers.
Yes,
come on, man.
Not with speakers.
Come on, he my speaker like once an album, man. Like the My Sub series.
Dog, what was the last album he put out? The Double Joint?
Yeah.
Nah, he did one last year too.
Ryan, don't use my goddamn.
I'm not. Yeah, that's why I'm not even gonna post that comment.
The fuck is wrong? I'm not even gonna post that comment. But like, I did listen to that album, and I give Crit credit. Like he is like super duper talented. It's just when I heard that shit, I was like, all right, nigga, I'm already mentally out of this, because it was like the second or third song. This nigga rap about speakers, and I'm like, all right, bro, I don't want to put it as the 8th song. Like, give me a chance to get into the album before you hit me over the head with your love for speakers again, nigga.
And to that point though, like I can deal with Crit like rapping about subs and Stove God, or you know, and all these like coke raps and stuff, but because those like they're either going to get better over time or you're just going to skip the song. But every Drake album now is just like, oh, this girl left me and I'm very sad and now I'm jaded, and it's just like
he took one of the hardest DMX songs ever and made it about a woman. Like I shit you not, when I moved up to North Carolina the first time, me and Fee was getting in the car to drive back to Birmingham, and I was like, bruh, I gotta let you hear this. this Drake joint.
Man,
And I cut that shit off.
Anybody who knows me knows How It's Going Down is my favorite DMX song. That song made me mad when I heard it. Like I was like physically mad. I was like,
I laughed because that shit was fucking hilarious. Only Drake. I need to know because there's a lot of gays being like only Drake. Drake can take what these bitches want from a nigga on some DMX shit. I group DM my exes. I tell them they belong to me. That shit goes on. Like nigga, what? Why would you do that? Like
why?
Or the Wu-Tang sample. Like only Drake. Only Drake.
Wu-Tang Forever. Like I'm like, oh okay, I rap some hard shit.
Only Drake does this.
Now, if you want to talk about an album that's trash, that album is terrible.
What album?
Views makes me so mad because every time I hear Western Road Flows, I'm like, nigga, why aren't you always doing this?
Right.
Why can't you be on Western Road Flows all the? What is wrong?
And he even admits it on the song. He was like, he said something to the effect of, "I got to do this every once in a while to show y'all I can still do it. Do it all the time."
Like nigga, that song pissed me off so much.
But he's not gonna do that. He's not gonna do that because Jay did the same thing with Moment of Clarity. He said, truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil, so I ain't been rhyming like common sense. You know, he's just following the leader.
Which brings us back to 2008, which is where Drake come from, Lil Wayne. Like, he's seen what Lil Wayne did, so he's going to stick to that winning formula.
See how we circle back around?
Because Jay was still better than damn near everybody while not rapping like common sense. Because even that verse, he's not rapping his hardest, but it's still hard because he gives props to Talib Kweli and Mos Def, and then it's like I'm gonna do this real quick, speed up in front of the crowd, remind y'all I'm better than these niggas, and I'm gonna bring it right back to where niggas can still catch it. Like that was the magic of Jay-Z. Like Drake does that and then gives you Hotline Bling.
Which is
but you gotta look at for my Juice WRLD, RIP to him. He dropped the album today, posthumous, whatever. I don't even know how to say that word, but he dropped the album today.
Posthumous.
There's a skit on there when they're like, it was like he's the most talented part. It's producers talking like he's the most talented kid I ever seen in the world. It was like he'll get a beat and he'll make one song and he'll come back in and make another song and then come back in and make another song, make 3 songs to the same beat, and then tell the producer or engineer, hey, pick a song that you want. Juice WRLD, he can rap. I've heard him freestyle. He can rap really well, but most of his music is rock sounding. Lil Wayne, he's clearly from the school of Lil Wayne. Like a young Future,
because he sent me one of Juice WRLD. I think it was called "Come and Go" earlier. And I was listening to it. I'm like, okay, I like this sound. Like I hate the fact that he won't get a chance to develop because when the guitars kick in, his voice needed to do some modulation and some changing up to accentuate. This comes from
what you talking about? What you talking about? Right?
Drunken Hot Girls are super trash, but the white really.
I mean that is true. That is true.
But Ryan, you know what I'm saying, really. But anyway,
that is true.
White girls did love it, but like from the rock background of me, I know a little bit about like what you need to do when like hard guitars come in. And Juice WRLD was going somewhere. Like he is somebody that I lament on, not because for all the grief I give the offspring of Wayne, I will admit that they are more musically willing to try shit than any generation before them.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why I gravitated towards Thug, is because like Thug he didn't care. Like he used his voice as an instrument while also rapping at the same time. And I was just like, I've never heard anybody do this before. But he's a direct descendant from Wayne, a direct descendant.
Ryan, you say I'm a Sean Carter stand account as if this show is not called Politics as Usual.
It's called Politics as Usual.
And man, Ron is also a big Jay-Z stand. Yes. What do you mean? We are two dudes who both say without reservation we think Jay's the greatest rapper ever.
Right, look, man. When I'm like successful in life and I'm giving a commencement speech. It's gonna be the second verse of The Evils. Like I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna come to the podium. We used to fight over building blocks. Now we fight for blocks for buildings to make a killing. The closest of friends when we first started. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I'm probably doing the Stove God Cooks first. Let me say, Joe, my favorite thing as of late is just scroll the timeline and see you have a random Stove God Cooks bar.
Yo, so
on the timeline.
So I got to go back and listen to the actual Stove God album that dropped this year. But I already started writing like a thing about like why these are the best Coke raps in a while.
Dude, in a long
They really
time.
are.
How do you wash the brick of his sins, man? How
3
does
days
the
it rolls
Coke
out the pot?
After 3 days.
Listen, how do you start the album with I cooked half a brick in the air fryer? Like
yes.
like Coke rap isn't like our guy Pat was like, man, I don't like. I wish Pusha T would do something different. I'm like, I don't.
Nah.
I don't ever want to hear Pusha T rap about anything but Coke.
Like we say all the time, it's like when Rip Hamilton developed the mid-range game. Don't move away from that. Stick with the mid-range game.
Hey AJ, we don't want to hear Big Crit rap about anything but his subs.
Exactly.
I do want to hear that. I want to hear about some other this, but Pusha T, only because I've heard Big Crit rap about things other than subs on features and it was fire. Pusha T, I've heard Pusha T not rap about Coke on like 1 or 2 occasions, and it was just all right. Like I don't want to hear Pusha T rap about anything other than
Pusha T
Coke.
says, "I step on a brick like a promenade." Why would you want to hear him rap about anything else?
Why? Like I don't. Him, Stove God Cooks, and Benny the Butcher are the only niggas I want to hear rap about Coke exclusively. I don't want to hear shit else about them. If Pusha T is rapping about love, I want to hear about his love for bricks. I want to hear about his love for his wife or his new son. I want to hear about his love for pushing his Coke. If he is rapping about Christmas, I want to hear about him rapping bricks to make money for the family. I don't want if he's rapping about wintertime, I want to hear about him making it snow in Nebraska. I don't want to hear shit else.
And see, look, and the great thing about that is he has verses for all of those things. Scouts Honor started with my grandmama. Like that, like, oh my God. You entered the family business.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's just the same way I want to hear Currency talk about weed and muscle cars and whatever new brand he just found. Like I don't want to hear Currency rap about his love life.
Nah.
Yeah. But how soon do you think give the name of his son, how soon do you think we get that I'm pushing bricks? The stroller punchline.
6 months. 6 months tops.
Oh yeah, it'll happen soon. No, my first question is when does Young Bricks make his first Coke reference? Like he gonna have to be about 2 years old, doing a Coke bar.
Yeah, like we gonna see Young Bricks dressed in all white. Excuse me, all white.
Yeah, like that shit has to happen, man. That shit has to happen. Like I need that. That the streets need that. Even if the streets is just me and Ron.
We are the streets. Yeah, we need that.
I do. I do.
But yeah, Joe as well. But the other thing about 08 that was phenomenal was the mixtape run. Because that low key kicked off the blog era of the blog being the new A&R. And that in a lot of ways is the children of Lupe and early Kanye.
Yeah, let me bring up the mixtapes in 08.
Yeah, pull up the mixtapes in 08. Also, my favorite album from 08 was Seeing Sounds. Which NERD, why have y'all not revisited that fucking sound? That shit was right.
Dude, Rich Boy Bigger Than the Mayor came out in 08 too.
I say because they grew. Hey man, Rich Boy Bigger Than the Mayor. Fire. Everything his album was supposed to be.
Oh my God, I forgot about that mixtape.
Man, Gucci Mane was on there floating too.
Yeah, he was.
So, see, y'all are a more accurate expression of like Midwest hip hop fans than me, because y'all like actually love you and my brother actually love everything. Like I don't.
See, this is, and this is the time that I started to discover. Like, I mean, I was playing like Icy and stuff like when it dropped, but this is when I was like, okay, Gucci is cool. Like, I like the way he raps. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, nah, 2008.
Yeah, this is and that's not even,
after I heard Sing Sounds, like I completely like was like, all right, I'm good with hip hop. Like Lupe gave me the cool in December of 07. I was listening to that, but like when I heard Sing Sounds, I was like, all right, let me start like getting out of hip hop and
because
that shit.
Big Currency went on his run at the end of 08. Like that was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no,
And
that
then-
run was fire. I was listening.
and then you had Wale mixtape about nothing, and then a kid named Cuddy. Like those are two, yeah.
Oh, the nigger tape too.
The bar exam.
Should have been the album.
Bar Exam 2, yeah.
That the movie, the Gangsta Girls movie was fire,
Mhm.
and so was the real
Got it,
game.
Got it,
yeah. Road to the Casket drops. Yeah, man. Paper Route Gangsters, Currency.
Fast
And-
Times at
and-
Ridgemont
and
Fly. That might be my
That's
favorite.
not even
tape.
everything from 08. Like, just look at
Soul
this.
Music 3
Oh, man.
and Just Us for All. Whoo.
Oh, Nipsey too.
Yeah.
Higher than 30,000 feet. Yeah. Oh yeah. 08 was monumental in that was like the first time. Well, I don't want to say the first time, but that was like when niggas finally started realizing, like, oh shit, the internet is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was before the 360. Like that's really why 360 deals like became so popular. Like we can point to the ringtones by Soulja Boy and all the bad signings that the big major labels made, like from going to from Soulja Boy to fucking who is the Trinidad James, like that the labels made and couldn't recoup their money from. But when you've got, and really if you want to take this back to the genesis of this, is Mood Music 2. Like Mood Music 2 was the album that Budden wanted to drop. Def Jam didn't think it would work. That shit was on like album of the year list. And that actually slowed his release up from Def Jam. I think he said by 2 years. Because of the fact that they were like, oh, we can do something with this. And he's like, nah, I don't want anything to do with y'all. So he went radio silent for like 2 years. But when you want to talk about like artists who like followed in that vein, you see like Royce on there, one of the Slaughterhouse mates. But like you found like a strange mixture of artists who had been in the game for a minute, Royce, Currency, and newcomers, Cuddy, Nipsey, who found a way to like push their music on the internet. Whereas before it was kind of this unknown, it was like space in a way, or the bottom of the ocean. Like motherfuckers had heard about it, but they didn't know how it could be used to their advantage. And I think that's one of the first times that they was like, oh shit, I could just drop my own music up here without, even if I'm signed to a label and they can't do shit about it.
And that's what's dope about like somebody like Budden or like a Royce, or like there's people who have been in the game for a while discovering like the internet's their friend. Like when, you know, I was like, I had a MySpace for my radio show and then like, you know, transition into Facebook, but like I was using those tools to build up an audience. And then like these, you know, and I was like 18, 19 at the time. And so we're like Wale and Cuddy and, you know, all these people. And, you know, then these older dudes like Budden, he's in his mid 20s, and you know Royce is probably like around that age too, and they're like, "Oh wait, hey, I could use this." Like that's
like I remember Budden posted on the Hip Hop Game forum back in like 03. Right. His name was like Chia 203 or something like that, and there was another dude that people thought was Benzino. His name was like dead ass serious, and nigga swore it was Benzino. Because every time he, like, if you said a positive thing about Eminem, he was coming with hate immediately behind it. And niggas swore up and down that was Benzino. But, like, that's, like, the first year that, like, that was when the blog became the A&R. And that's such that's an underrated golden era of hip-hop.
Here's another
like,
thing that
so
you mentioned that's important. Here's another thing that's crazy. Because I remember 08, Wale dropped Wale Dance. Wale dropped a mixtape about nothing on OK Player. And it got such a huge response that the Roots was like, nah, get this guy on our first single of our new album. So another thing that's inadvertently like a bad part of this era is that you jump straight from the the underground into the mainstream, and there's zero development. Like, cool if you're cool. It's cool if you're a Wale or cool if you're a J. Cole. I'm talking about J. Cole back then, but now I feel like a lot of rappers aren't getting that polish. They're just like, okay, you're hot right now. Give me a verse, and this rapper is just phasing out because they never get any better.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know who
we can convert for that.
But you know who actually benefited from that, because Big Sean came up around this time, and that's when he was dropping all those, like, they did the Super Duper Lemonade or whatever like that, and then everybody started doing that flow and stuff. And Big Sean bars were terrible. Like, I remember when I had Twitter way back in the day, like before I deleted all my accounts, it was like Big Sean raps or like something like that, and it was just a whole hashtag that like we would just go in on. But it took him a while before he was like getting to the point of being good, and then that's when that happened with like 2014, 2015.
Probably the Detroit mixtape was when he hit his.
Because Detroit dropped, and then the Dark Sky Paradise album dropped, and they were like back to back.
Because Finally Famous 3 is a good mixtape, and he wasn't. Detroit is probably the best Big Sean that you're gonna see, but I think he was hitting his stride around Finally Famous 3.
Oh, nigga, I remember you getting off the plane fresh from Japan telling me to listen to that, nigga.
Well, that was Big Sean, and off of Finally Famous 1. That was like 07 to 08, so he was still finding his way.
But that's the point, because Wale, because Kanye basically did what NFL teams do. Aaron Rodgers, they drafted QB, they put him on the bench and let him sit behind the vet. So Kanye, and that's probably the last good case of this happening. Like, I can't really think of another case, but Kanye basically benched Big Sean. It's like, you're not ready for an album yet. You're not ready for an album yet. And he kept putting out these mixtapes. He kept crafting his sound. And I will say, due to some label stuff, like his debut album could have been better, because the throwaway tracks from that album are actually really good. But yeah, you did see him get better and better over time. And I feel like that's the last time we truly saw that happen, where basically somebody did the A&R part of their A&R job, and artists got better over time.
I would say the closest thing right now is maybe Lil Baby.
Okay.
Maybe just because like he, Thug was like I mean, Baby was putting out music, but right now it's catching. Like I remember when he dropped that song with Drake, and he said, "Wah wah wah, bitch, I'm the baby," and everybody's like, "This guy is the absolute worst." I'm not feeling this, yeah. And then like here we go 2 years later, and this dude has like 16 songs on the Billboard charts right now.
He's another one whose development I'm interested in, because I see the potential. I just wonder, will he reach it?
Like when I heard him on that 21 Savage album, like Don't Leave Without It, I think is the name of the track. I was like, okay, I think Lil Baby has arrived, because I didn't like him before that. I didn't get the appeal, but then I was like, okay, this guy's getting good.
He was extra basic before. Now he's I don't know. He's like somebody in the NBA, like Trae Young. Like you see the potential when you like, oh yeah, he's the one. He gonna be it. Like he's getting to that point.
Yeah, it's almost similar to Thug. Like when Ron and Joe previously tried to get me and Kelsey from the KO from Knights of the Turntable were like trying to get me to see the value in a Young Thug, and I just refused. And I think I was listening to Good Times, and I know that was a Thug song.
Yes.
K-17 soundtrack, and I was just walking around singing that, and I was like, I was like, all right, I guess I'll listen to him. And he does something with his voice that like Michael Jackson used to do, like where Michael Jackson would tell what he wanted the musicians to play by singing the note, and Thug does a similar thing to accentuate the instrument. And for someone like him, it's like, I wish he would have grown up in a more musically sound environment, because there's no telling what he would have done. Like if he'd have been around like actual musicians, people who could play instruments, like he probably could have done some like insane shit with his voice that I think would have been super duper dope. And like someone like Lil Baby, like I would love to see what he would be like if you put him around like a young dude like say Sean Smith. Like put him around somebody that like really be rapping on a regular basis, and see what someone who has that kind of delivery, presence, cadence, and like could do if you put him around somebody that's like really challenging him to up his content and his lyrics on a regular basis.
Yeah, man, get him away from Gunna is the takeaway here. Gunna's
What
terrible.
has been better with Gunna?
Well,
Like, I'm on Gunna ass, man. That nigga is terrible.
a little Wayne is quite fond of Lil Baby, so I kind of know the route that he's going to take. Unfortunately, it's going to be
Oh no.
it's going to
Get
be
him away
that
from Lil Wayne.
because he just built the studio. Like he was on Lil Wayne's radio show not too long ago
Why does
COVID
Wayne have a radio show?
He got a show every Friday on Apple Music.
Yeah.
He was on there, and
Jay's face is like,
Why?
it's actually quite informative. If you like, he had many friends. Anyway, well, that's a whole nother topic. But Lil Baby was like, "Yeah, I just built the studio in my house," and I'm like, "Here we go." He about to go down that fucking 05, 06 Lil Wayne, just constantly putting out shit and overworking himself, and he's gonna run out of shit to talk about.
Hate when that shit happens to these young cats with potential. And again, this all goes. What does Lil Baby sound like today if Lil Wayne was rapping his ass off on the Carter 3? Because that changes. What does Thug sound like?
mm-hmm.
And you grow up with these dudes who are used to rapping in a competitive environment. Because somebody asked Lupe a couple weeks ago about like his thoughts on Kendrick, and basically clarified saying, I don't have a problem with Kendrick, but the era I grew up in, if you said you was the best, a nigga like Cassidy was gonna sit you in a room for 5-6 hours and just make you rap against him. Like you're not just finna say you the best without a bunch of niggas that could rap being like, okay, come on, rap. Sit in a room with me, rap. I don't care if you spit these verses before. I want to hear you rap at a high level for this period before I walk out saying, all right, you nice. And he felt like Kendrick, and to me, this again goes back to Wayne, because Wayne said, I'm the best, and no one made him prove it. Because he was like, I'm not battling none of you niggas. Give me some money first.
Like he said he was the best right as he was rising, and people was like, you know what? I believe it. Like
you know,
totally unchallenged.
Well,
Like,
but he was kind of boasting about it on the Carter 1, though. But I think people kind of
that's
just
what I mean. Yeah.
And then when people finally like, oh, he's the best, he really wasn't the best no more. It's like,
Yeah, by the time he actually caught on, he was nowhere
Yeah.
near the best. Yeah.
Like he like again, it's a case of it happens every day where people hear artists and like as they're not that great anymore, or when they're not putting out their best shit. Like an artist we talk about on here frequently, Mac Ayers. I was a huge Mac Ayers fan. His first project was fired. Nobody was paying that nigga any attention. He put out that trash second project, and people was fucking with it. And it's like no, go back to the other album before that. You missed it. Like it happened, and I'm guilty of this shit. Like I was not a fan of Mac Miller. I didn't want to hear nothing that you had to say about Mac Miller and our friend Joe's uncanny resemblance of Mac Miller, which was a joke on the old Knights of the Turntable podcast. Like caused me to go listen to Mac Miller right as the Divine Feminine dropped, and I was like, oh shit, I've been missing out.
well,
Like,
but Mac Miller was trash when Wiz Khalifa was blowing up, and he was kind of bringing Mac Miller right behind him. He wasn't that good. Like when Donald Trump dropped, I listened to Mac Miller off the strength of Wiz. But then when Macadelic
I
dropped,
still missed Good AM and watching movies with the sound off. Like that was where he was catching his stride. Like if people was trying to tell me about him when he made those albums, and I wasn't paying him no attention.
His best on Macadelic. Like I think again, he's one of those people where people caught on to him. He's kind of like Lil Wayne, where people caught on to him late because he was rapping way better on Macadelic than what he was on Watching Movies with the Sound and Blue Slide Park and all those projects that came after that, because he shifted more to making music as opposed to just strictly rapping. Kind of like Wiz Khalifa. Like Wiz Khalifa's underground stuff, he doesn't do much singing. Like on Prince of the City 2 and Star Power, like he flirts with auto-tune. He flirts with auto-tune a little bit, and then Flight School, like Cushion Orange Juice is what propelled Wiz Khalifa to the surface, but Flight School is his best project because he's rapping good on Flight School, and he has minimal use of auto-tune, but it's good enough to make great songs out of it. And then Cushion Orange Juice is where people caught on to him, but then after that, it went downhill because people caught on to him too late.
I guess with Mac, because I don't really look at him as like a super duper MC. Like I recognize that he can rap. Like he's someone I just look at as someone who makes music. Like to me, Like I don't like and because my latch on point to him was the divine feminine. Like I look at him more in the musical space because I do know that he was multi-instrumental as well.
Yeah, he's a good student of music. Like he really took the time to make himself better over time. He
made
really
a fucking neo soul album.
Right. He really
was fired.
He really took the time to like hone his craft. So he's a student of the game.
Well, and I think that says something about, because like I feel like as a white person coming into hip hop, this is not your culture. And so you need to do everything that you can to learn about this culture and to learn about it and stuff. And Mac, as he was like developing and he did the Good AM, and you could tell he was going to transition into something like Divine Feminine. And then he dropped the Swimming album. And, you know, it was just, he appreciated this music so much that he went and learned how to play all of these instruments. And, you know, he was best friends with like Thundercat and like the whole Odd Future crew and all those people. And
like was producing albums for Vince Staples. Like,
Yeah,
he sold
Harry
talent
Fisherman,
there.
yeah.
Like, yo, come here. Let me like push you on and like help you out.
yeah. And like,
that,
I think that, you know, as a white person coming into hip hop, you have to do stuff like that, because I'm going to resonate more with Mac's music than I will with Eminem's music.
that is
I also think what's cool about Mac is Mac reached down a lot. Mac was like super big to be independent, but he reached down and fucked with a lot of unknown artists like Sir Mikey Rocks. I was fucking with him hard for a while, and he was on Mac Miller was way bigger than Mikey Rocks, but he appeared on all his shit. Like
the first time I heard Rhapsody was on a Mac Miller track. So yeah.
That Cool Kids Gangsta Grills mixtape with also, which I think
Gone Fishing?
in 08. Gone Fishing. That's why I still listen to that shit.
Yes.
That Hammer Bros used to be my ringtone.
Fire.
That used to be my shit. That was my shit. Like I fucks with. Yeah, nah. Like I think if we gonna answer the question, was 08 hip hop's last stand? I say yes, because it changed the trajectory of hip hop from what I loved it as to something different. Doesn't make it bad, but I felt like whatever hip hop was up until that point, its last chance to be saved was 2008. And the two artists who had the biggest role to play in doing so went completely different directions. Pop to up-tempo pop, basically, with auto-tune. Went pop rap to pop R&B, and that changed the trajectory of hip-hop to me. But it was still a great year for hip-hop.
I say no. I think 2008 is probably the most influential year in hip hop, maybe, like at least of the 21st century, because like Little Baby is 25. So if we go back 12 years, how old is Little Baby? What, 13? So the most popular rapper is Lil Wayne.
And that's probably like the most impressionable time of your life.
Yeah. So music wise, who are you listening to? That's probably what the music you're gonna grow up making. So I don't know if it's necessarily the last thing, because I still find projects I like. I think you just have to search more out of the mainstream to find stuff that's more hip hop. So I think it's the most influential, but I don't know if it's the last thing, because I looked from years past 2008 and I found a bunch of projects that I like from traditional hip hop artists. So
I mean, to be fair, when I was 12 and 13, my favorite albums were the Marshall Mathers LP, and then there was X and the Chronic 2001. So, oh, and surprisingly enough, Country Grammar, thanks to him.
Yeah, I would agree more with that, where it's like it's harder now to find that type of hip hop, but you can still find it. So like, you know, if I want to go listen to like something that's just like bars and bars and bars, I know, oh, well, let me go search for Royce. Like, let me go search for, you know, somebody who I know has bars. Like, it may be harder for me to discover somebody who is coming up that has bars, but at least I know that there are like 100 rappers out there that I could just search and just be like, well, I want to listen to some Royce because I know that he's going to bring the heat today.
But all right, so before we sign off, because I assume that we're about to sign off, I just want to highlight how great of a year 2008 was, because now I'm going to ring off like my favorite non-rap albums, and it was crazy. So we have TV on the Radio, Dear Science. You think you've never heard of them, but if you've watched Breaking Bad, trust me, you have. Viva La Vida, which was just a monster of an album. Modern Guilt by Beck. Saturdays Equal Youth by M83. You also had, let's see, I'm missing one. Adele, 19. I think the first Black Keys album was also 08. So yeah, man, just a great year for music.
Give Seeing Sounds no love.
I mean, we already talked about Seeing Sounds, man. Seeing Sounds is just on another level. I could talk about Seeing Sounds all day, but yeah. So just a great year for music in general, man. So I forgot Sense of Gold. Sense of Gold's album in 08 was fire. But yeah, just a really fire year for music, man. And that was my junior year of college, and so I think that's why I may be romanticizing 2008 a bit, but it was just a great.
They say the music you love most in your life is from when you were getting the most pussy.
2008 has the best. The greatest year for me.
They say you love that era of music, which is why I think so many of people our age have a fonder memory of Lil Wayne than what we do as like students of music, because all they remember is going to the club and hearing Wayne songs and Drake songs ring off in the background while they was catching the twerk, sipping the water down Long Island.
You know why I like Drake and Hot Girls and Flashing Lights so much? Because me and my boys in 08, we were
why you like The Ride by Drake so much?
We were dating. So I went to UA and we had this thing called Rock the Runway. It was like a student-driven like fashion show, and me and my boys were dating like 3 of the models that ended the show, and they ended the show on Flashing Lights and Drunken Hot Girls. And then they all waved at us, and everybody was like, "Who these niggas is?" And we was like, "Yeah, we them niggas." But yeah, that's and now that I think about it, it's tied to that moment. So yeah, that's why I like that. But no, it really was a fire year for music. Yeah, it was a fire year.
I will say, not to give the Coon any credit, but Flashing Lights is like one of like the greatest songs like maybe ever. Like, that is a fire ass song.
So I had this idea the other day to write about like orchestra music within hip hop, and that was one of the songs that like I had forgotten about that, and I asked my wife, I was like, hey, so what songs in hip hop have like orchestras? Like I named off the ones to her that, and she's like Flashing Lights. I was like, oh yeah, duh, I used to love that song.
Oh man,
put up Joe Hicks's comment because I have something for this. For those of you who are, we talked about the Divine Feminine and how Mac Miller made basically a neo soul album. If you want some fire neo soul music, there are a bunch of awkward looking white dudes making fire neo soul music right now. Like Mac Ayers and Hoblo Brown, like just those two. You can go off. You can kill a whole day going through their catalog of their EPs, singles, albums, and stuff that they put out. There's some fire music being put out. Snow Allegra, another non-black person who was putting out some fire. She dropped another dope record today. Like there is some fire music being put out in non-hip hop. Like that's predominantly. I have a. Let me pull up the playlist and see just how. I have a 12.5-hour playlist of neo soul and alternative R&B music that I listen to regularly. So again, one of my favorite albums last year was Issues, Beautiful Oblivion, which my nephew, who my brother is holding, I had him singing one of the songs. It sounds like The Weeknd fronting a metal band.
Which is every time you say that, I'm like, yep, you're right, because I checked them out.
Like that's the only way I can describe it. Like it sounds like The Weeknd is fronting a metal band, and it's just as intriguing. Alina Baraz, her album this year was crazy.
Her album's very good.
Who dropped an album recently that I was listening to? Hold on, let me find the shit in my listening history. Tiana Taylor's album was cool. Somebody dropped the fucking album that I was just listening to. Oh, Chris Anderson, Smile While You Can.
Oh yeah, I saw you talking about that. I haven't checked it out yet. But yeah.
Chris Anderson is actually the drummer in Mac Ayer's live band, but he's a drummer and multi-instrumentalist. He put out an album with all guest vocals. And the back half of it is like all instrumental shit, but it's dope if you like just need something to put on in the background while you're listening to music. I mean, while you're doing something else, you don't need like to listen to no complicated shit. Dope music. It's some good music being put out in the non-hip hop scene. If you're willing, as Joe said, if you're willing to go look for it.
Mm-hmm.
The double-edged sword of the internet is everybody can put out music, but everybody can put out music. So there's some fire that the gatekeepers were keeping at bay that wasn't getting through. So, and if you ever need some list, follow me on Twitter. I'll happily direct you to some of the shit that I listen to, because that's all I fucking listen to. Chuck has even got me listening to old Japanese city pop, which is like the intro, it's like the soft rhythmic outro music you hear on anime series.
Yeah, the seatbelts, man. The seatbelts are fire. If you don't know, they made a lot of music for Cowboy Bebop. So the seatbelts, yeah. And there's a whole like underground like Japanese jazz scene that's just fire.
Dog, Cowboy Bebop has like, you can't even talk about them when you talk about like the best anime or cartoon, because it's like it was curated so perfectly.
Mm-hmm,
like the Real Folk Blues is one of the greatest anime songs like
such
ever
a beautiful
made.
song, man.
And what is the intro? Tank.
Tank.
Yeah. Like you can't include that in any anime series that you talk about when you talk about music. Like it's incomparable. They curated that and like Samurai Champloo have like some of the best music that you can listen to for an anime series, because it's part of that. Yeah, Joe says the seatbelts. Joe is one of the 3 black people I've ever known who lived in Utah. Joe but yeah, it's a great time for non-hip hop music right now. If you're willing to go, Gallant and Snow Allegra last year, their albums were 2 of my favorite albums last year. I actually just bought Snow Allegra's album on vinyl. I needed to add that to my list. But yeah, it's a great time. Like, trust me. They're out there. And if you're looking for some great indie hip hop, follow Joe. Joe's been writing about those. We might have to do an episode on Alabama's music scene at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much fire music and even our boy Chuck. I found a song Chuck did.
Yeah, I was like,
he was nice with it.
And you know what's crazy, man? I forgot that I remember Chuck from UA. Because Chuck was in this frat that my roommate was cool with those frat members. And I was like, well, shit, that's Chuck. Because I remember Chuck used to rap back at UA. So who knew, man? Who knew?
Dog, Chuck sent me a song like 2 years ago, I want to say. And I was like, dog, no offense, why aren't you rapping right now? Like, and it's not that I didn't think you were good, but like dudes that good are usually like rapping constantly.
Right.
But I found this song of Chuck's where it's him and D Gut. It was produced by LJ, and they're rapping over a Gone sample. And I just be listening to that shit because it's hilarious. Like, I had to put it in the group chat and was like, "Yo, guess who that is rapping loud?"
The first time I heard that song, I was blown away.
Sandy Richardson.
Please tell me more about Chuck.
Who is that? Do we know who that is?
That sounds like a trap.
Yeah, who is that? I don't know if we. If you want to know who Chuck is, he's at _CSJR on Twitter. You can go find him. But yeah, no, that's our guy. Like he's super nice with it to not like. I like to think I'm decent enough at rapping. Like Chuck is like up there, like where I am on like the rap thing, and I'm like, dude, why don't you do it? Like I understand now why people when they hear me rap, like, why don't you rap more? Like I felt the same way. Like listening to Chuck, like, why don't you rap more?
Yeah, man, because you know how most people be like, hey man, I rap. And those people are usually trash. Like, but you're reluctant to like let me listen to some of your stuff. I was like, dude, you could rap. And I'm pretty tough on rappers. Like, I mean, given that I listen to like a lot of rap, I'm still pretty tough on rappers. I'm like, nah, man, you need to be an accountant. You don't need to rap. But I heard I was like, yeah, man, you got bars. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have spent the last 4 years of my 20s not rapping, but you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But that's a conversation for another day. When does Ryan have the after party thing starting?
I think he's kicking up
at 10 or 10:30.
I think it's
Eastern.
9:30 Central, 10:30.
Okay.
10:30 y'all
I
time.
wanted to make
Yeah.
sure we wasn't running that. But yeah, we got anything else we want to discuss? I see Caden's over there getting super sleepy.
Nah, he just woke up.
Ryan invited me. I'm 50, but I have no idea who you are talking about. I'm just trying. That feels like a trap. That feels like a trap. I'm sorry. That feels like a trap. But if you want to follow Chuck, you can.
So there's probably some honesty. People,
It might be. It might be. We got anything else we want to go over while we're on here?
Nah, man, just stick around about 45 more minutes. We're gonna have an after party. Ryan has curated.
We're trying to encourage people to stay in the house.
Yeah, Ryan, exactly. Please stay in the house. Ryan has curated a 90s playlist. We're gonna play through that. We're gonna talk about this topic. We're gonna carry it over to the after show. So yeah, just
Yeah, Ryan has some rebuttals, so I guess I have to stick around for that. I got to get some food first because I ain't ate shit all day.
Yeah, man, I gotta
but
get
yeah,
some,
we'll be on here. We'll be talking. It's gonna be interactive. We might be doing some like trivia, other fun stuff. But it's basically a way for us to like interact with people who have supported the channel. We definitely appreciate all that. You'll be able to come on camera and on screen if you want. We'll shoot you a link if you want to show your face on camera. I, as a noted non-face shower on the internet for about 8 years, do it, so you can too. But it's a way for us at the KWC to encourage people to stay y'all asses in the house.
Please.
If you're not in the house, wear a mask. Damn it.
Please wear a mask.
We got Joe out in the hotbed of Florida. He can't even go get food for his family in peace.
It's awful. It's awful. Like, it's just I just got to tell y'all that Florida is the worst, and people really don't want to wear. Like, look, for example, I have a gas station by my house. I went there to go get like a soda and something earlier this week, and now we have a mandatory mask order in the county I live in, which is Seminole, which is on the outskirts of Orlando, and then Orange County, which is Orlando. And I saw Wawa employees running to give people masks because they weren't wearing masks inside the building, even though we have mandatory mask orders. Like, just wear a mask. It's not hard.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
Hey, look, if I can go to work and wear a mask, a gas mask at that, a respirator for 12 hours, you could put one on for 20 minutes, bro.
Look at that darling child sitting in my brother's arms right now. Do you really want to put his father at more risk because you don't want to wear a freaking mask?
Think about the kids.
Think of the kids. Think of the 5-year-olds who want to sleep in their dad's arms and play Sonic all day. Has he moved on from Sonic? Is that still what he's on?
No. He just asked me earlier, beat a level. I'm like, fam, I bought this game for you, not for me.
You got to beat the level, man. You got to. It's
yeah, man.
It's a right.
I'm sad to say,
man,
I couldn't. I died like 6 times in a row.
We used to ask mom to beat Robotnik for us a couple times.
Hey, I had my cousins coming over to beat this stuff for me on Nintendo.
Rite of passage. So rite of passage. What is Joe talking about? Crown Peach in the cup is, yeah. Joe Hicks. If you are on Crown, you're not allowed to come on camera, bro. You gonna say something we have to censor. Like,
Yeah,
like, nah, we cannot. You will not be on camera if you drink a Crown, bro. I'm just telling you that right now. All right, so we gonna sign out of here. Our man Joe Code has to go, get back to his family and whatnot. We appreciate you giving us your time, bro.
Thank you for coming through, Joe.
Thank y'all for having me on. As always, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Follow at Joe Code the second, 2 eyes, Roman numeral. Does the Roman numeral thing like I do. Follow him.
I follow
on Instagram. He is giving out free game. I also had him on the episode of the 4 Hour Show, which I will be bringing back this week, more than likely. I've been playing too much guitar. I ain't felt like recording. I'll also be on Rod for Shorts podcast, so I'm sure that'll be. Yeah. But yeah, Joe has his name right there. Follow him. He's giving out free game. You got anything else you want to plug, Joe?
No, it's just like, right now I'm just building that platform. It's for independent creators to learn how to like make money. I mean, I work in digital marketing. I've been blogging for 10 years. So I know a little bit of stuff, so I'm trying to help people as much as I can. So yeah, I got a newsletter, and then if you want to subscribe on Patreon, just go to my Twitter account. That's the pinned tweet right there, and you can sign up. The newsletter's free. Patreon's $3 a month if you want to subscribe, because I'm just building this, taking my time with it.
$3, man.
$3. You gonna spend $3 on some bullshit? If you out here trying to create, spend $3 with someone who's actually trying to teach your ass something that can make you a lot more than $3. Damn it.
$3, man. $3. That's all it takes.
So yeah, follow him, check him out. We always appreciate you joining us. Follow the Kids Wear Crowns at the KWC blog on everything. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube page. Stick around for about 40 minutes. Come back in about 40 minutes. It's gonna be this exact same link. We're gonna be in here kicking it, chilling, having drinks, doing trivia. Ryan's gonna attempt to talk us out of our Jay-Z love for some misguided reason.
Also, turn them notifications on that YouTube subscription.
Yes, turn
Mhm.
it on.
Subscribe to that YouTube page.
Yes, we appreciate all the love. Copy you a shirt. You see, we got the Super Saiyan design over here.
Trash pandas. Oh,
And then Fee is rocking people helping people buy our dude Tony Smoothside. So yeah, man, make sure y'all rock with us. We will be back soon. We'll be back next week, same bat channel. We don't know about the time. But yeah, man, this has been Politics as Usual. You can also catch the podcast. Just search what is it called on the thing? I don't have my podcast thing up right now. Do they just search Politics as Usual?
Yeah. It's on the Kids Wear Crowns, Politics as Usual. Yeah.
One of those. You'll find it at some point. We're even on Spotify. We're everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere that you want to be.
We're
like,
everywhere.
we're everywhere. We out here. But till next time, as my nephew loves to say, now, peace.